Welcome back, everybody, to Close Encounters of the Tech Kind. I'm John. I'm taking the lead on this one today, and we're going to talk about the Internet of Things, what it is, how it is, why it is, and what we can do to keep ourselves both protected, connected, and safe. With
What
us
about
today,
who
I've
it
got
is?
who it
You,
is.
you left out you left out who it is.
I
I
did
bet
leave out who it is.
it kind of feels, a little bit neglected like that.
What about
So
how it
who
is?
you?
Why is Gamora? Is that what you're doing here?
That's right. I couldn't remember the reference I was exactly going for, but that's it.
No, I knew where you're going with that. Welcome, Jackson. How you doing?
Doing good. Good. Getting over a cold, so forgive me if anybody hears a little bit of coughing or sniffling, but I will try and keep that out.
No forgiveness. Sorry.
Well, it was nice knowing
But
you
hey,
guys.
that's why the computer gods invented the mute button, right? Cough, sneeze to your heart's content. I've done it a few times. Mike, how about you?
Hey, everybody, I'm doing pretty good. Can't complain. It was a little cold this morning. Had a nice little blanket of snow that I got to shovel. And of course, with spring here in Wyoming, it all melted off by noon. So there you go.
Got to put ice skates on the car to get to work and then
Take 'em
regular
off.
tires on the way home.
Mm-hmm.
You have to wear 3 layers that you can take off as in 4-hour intervals.
Right.
So by the end of the day, you're wearing shorts and a t-shirt.
I just put the tire chains on and then, get the piano loaded on top of the car while you drive through town.
Could work. How you doing, Artie?
That's a loaded question, but I'm not going to answer it. I'm doing okay.
That's good. I like loaded questions. As long as we got loaded answers to feed them back, right?
I like to call them smoking answers.
Smoking answers. What's a smoking answer there, Jackson? You got to give us an example now.
I mean, loaded gun. After it's fired, you're left with, a smoking barrel. So smoking answer better be something good.
That gives new meaning to the smoking section, doesn't it? Well, who here knows what the Internet of Things is?
I have an idea.
None of us do. I'll just tell you that. None of us know what the Internet of Things is. It keeps changing. Each manufacturer has their own way of doing things. But in general terms, it's that collection of appliances or those little one-off or two-off job kind of devices that are connected to the internet or a cloud service or something. But wanted to kind of talk about what they are and how we use it. We talked about the ESP32 last time. And we got actually a pretty good comment on that one. I think probably the best thing we could do is just go through the evolution of how Internet of Things became a thing. Because the internet at the beginning was really just a collection of computers at some colleges.
Mm-hmm.
And then what happened?
They were like, this won't go anywhere. It's just for like research. Yeah, obviously it exploded. So, and I feel like Internet of Things is, I don't know, isn't it? I mean, I'd say it's generally new in terms of, well, I don't know if I can say that. But I mean, in the last decade, it has certainly ramped up a lot, especially in the last few years with, kind of like what we were talking about last week with ESP32. It's a super easy to create Internet of Thing that you can just put in your house or wherever.
Did you know that the controller on the ESP32, there's 1 billion of them?
Manufactured?
Yeah. In the world, there's 1 billion of those chips.
I believe it. It's crazy. No
wonder people are looking for backdoors or hacking tools with those.
That's the thing. It's like, I don't know. Do you think it's a net positive or a net negative IoT? I mean,
that's a great question.
because there's always that there's that meme where it's like, oh, tech enthusiast or tech guy is like, oh man, my entire home is smart. I got smart light switches, smart fridge, smart toaster, and it's like actual people that work in tech and like the only thing I have in my house that connects to the internet is a printer, and I keep a loaded gun next to it. So it's like, it's that thing where, I mean, there's a lot of pluses and a lot of advantages to it, and there's also just a lot of security holes that come with it, just because it's another connection to the internet.
Well, I mean, who's going to update their light switch?
So what defines a thing? Like what makes it a thing instead of a computer?
That's a good question to ask.
I think it's more that it's designed to do one thing and do it well.
So a printer.
It doesn't do it well.
Well, we all know printers will never do it well, but they are assigned. But it is a unique purpose. It's a purpose-built machine that has electronic controller in it. It has some kind of a communication system, whether it be over your USB or serial port or parallel port or Bluetooth or Wi-Fi or Ethernet.
I would say, as I'm thinking about this, I wonder if you can just say it's considered a thing and not a computer if it's not dynamic. Can I say that? A computer, I can install different software on it. I can, change the way it looks and all these types of things. But when I think Internet of Things, kind of like what John's saying, it does one thing and it does it good, and like you can't really change that.
Maybe well, you could. You could change it, but it's still just going to do one thing one time, like an appliance.
Right. I mean, I'm thinking of the average person, though. How often is an average person going to pull out?
It's not meant to be changed. Like,
right.
I could break open one of my LED smart lights and take the controller out of it and repurpose that controller to do something different.
Oh, come on. The light can do all kinds of things.
I mean,
you can turn it on, and then you can turn it off.
And I can make it different colors, too, because I've got those kind,
You could throw a light switch rave with it. Just turn it off and on at the same. You just full disco mode.
I've had it go full disco mode. That's how it tells me that it lost connection with the Wi-Fi, because it goes into full disco mode. It's like, hey, I'm ready to pair up with oh yeah, okay, gotcha.
And then the crabs start dancing.
Found neighbor's Wi-Fi. What's that, Artie?
And the crabs start dancing.
Oh, there you go. I think it's more annoying when your devices connect to neighbors' Wi-Fi's.
Yeah, I'll tell you something. Like if you're ever sitting in your living room, and I think they've changed it, the protocol. I don't know how it worked previously, but it was bad because you could be sitting in your living room and you want to cast something to your TV through AirPlay or Chromecast, whatever. And you're seeing all your neighbors' TVs. I'm like, I can just put whatever I want up on my neighbor's TV. And then it was like, oh, well, now you have to do the passcode. And I think now, at least where I'm at, I'm in an apartment, so it's pretty dense, and I'm pretty sure all my neighbors have smart TVs. I only see mine now, so I think it's they've eventually and finally reduced that sphere down to like somebody's on the same network.
That could have been embarrassing.
Which is so annoying because I want to stream educational television to my neighbors.
Right.
Mythbusters, Sesame Street. Let's get it all out there.
And if you really don't like your neighbors, you could stream Caillou.
Blare my bad music in their house. That's my favorite. Especially since they all have the same default name. It's always just like Vizio TV or Apple TV or living room.
Okay, so is a smart TV a thing? Or is it just a
yes.
lower level computer?
Yes, it's a thing.
Why? Why is it a thing and not a computer? Because, smart TVs nowadays, you can install different software on it. But, it's still just a display.
It really is, but...
Well, isn't that what my computer is? It's just a display? with input-output devices attached to it?
A little more complicated.
You know what? I'm gonna look this up.
Yeah, that's a good one.
reveal
Like
ourselves.
smart TV versus my all-in-one desktop computer. Like really, because I can hook up a keyboard to my TV. I can install a Oracle or not Oracle, Opera web browser
Hmm.
and browse the web and use the
Well,
keyboard.
I'm not saying I'm the definitive source of knowledge, but I mean, it's like a TV is a TV. It's an appliance.
I mean, I think we all agree that the toaster is not on the same level as the computer. While the toaster
It's
may do
way
some
higher.
cool things, the computer does a lot of different other things.
I can eat bread confections with my toaster.
Yeah.
Various shades of toastiness and yumminess.
The TV
You know, there's a
has an
legit
operating
toaster.
system.
There's a legit toaster that has Internet of Things connectivity. You can draw pictures on it.
Ooh.
Oh, you wait for your
You-
breakfast. You can draw a
Yeah,
picture
you could-
of your future meal. Be like, oh, I know. I'll just put some jelly here.
Like dot matrix printing all over my toast.
Yeah, and it's like 1/4-inch cells.
Nice.
Okay, so internet/AI kind of says a little bit what we've been talking about. So let's see. Let's just run through. It gave me seven points. Let's see. Number 1, purpose and functionality. IoT, designed for specific tasks, like we're saying. Automation, monitoring, control. Whereas a computer, more general purpose. You know, we can do all sorts of things with a computer. Handling wide range of applications. Sure. All right. Processing power. I mean, there is a big difference there. IoT devices are usually
Low end.
Yeah, I mean, almost always I'd say a microcontroller. It's very rare that like you'd see even like a Snapdragon in an IoT device. That's kind of becoming a computer, right? So then obviously computers are much heavier processors, what we would call a central processing unit rather than a microcontroller. So there's a difference. They have something here about connectivity, kind of the same thing. Wi-Fi, Bluetooth. I mean, they say the computer has more connectivity capabilities. Sure, I've got my USB, I've got my my audio, whatever. So, all right,
Mhm.
give them that. User interaction. IoT devices usually run autonomously with minimal direct user interaction. Sure, like your lights or music, whatever. Whereas a computer is a lot more involved. You've got a keyboard, mouse. So they differentiate it like that. Quickly, we've got operating systems. IoT devices are almost always Linux or some other form of that. Computers obviously can run Linux, can run Windows or Mac OS if you're part of that movement. IoT devices usually have lower power consumption, often can run off batteries, you know.
Mhm.
That's a good one. And then storage and memory, IoT devices, yeah, kind of with that same microcontroller thing. They don't have a lot of that, whereas a computer you would classify as something that has a decent amount of storage and memory capabilities. So,
I store a backup of the internet in my Internet of Things little encyclopedia book.
I'm gonna plug
Yeah.
in a bunch of terabyte hard drives into my smart TV and
play all your movies from it. May have your own streaming service.
Could be fun.
maybe. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, so it's like, long story short, there is no solid line. It's a little gray.
Yep.
A little gray when something turns into a computer.
I
It's
think
like
smart TVs are pushing that edge. Like,
or refrigerators.
yeah, there's a lot of refrigerators I see nowadays that have like a display on them now.
I
Why
don't
don't
know.
they have
I
cameras
mean,
inside them to like say, "Hey, that celery's been on the shelf for 3 weeks now.
I think they
It's
do.
time to throw it away."
They have that.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
Samsung has made a
Yeah?
thing where they'll actually monitor and tell you when your stuff's going bad or how long something's been in there.
Or how many times my son opens the door.
And where is that data being shared? Oh wait, that's getting into other conversations.
Oh, no,
Right,
we're
right.
No, we're insensitive, right?
Right.
Only China.
Mr. Jones has bad milk in his fridge. Let the whole world know.
And the
Oh,
record
man.
holder for the oldest orange juice is
Oh, what was it? It was Spotify and Netflix. I don't remember who started it, but they started like after, because Spotify does the your Spotify Wrapped. It'll tell you, oh, here's who you listen to the most, or your favorite song, or whatever. And I think Netflix has been tracking the same thing. They just don't tell you, but then randomly you'll see on their social media they'll say, yeah, to whoever watched this movie 10 times yesterday, we hope you're okay. So I mean, they know they're collecting data on you for sure.
I think it'd be awesome to have the fridge just say, okay, of all the stuff in the fridge, this stuff's going bad today, this stuff's going to go bad tomorrow. Here's some recipes that use that stuff.
Yeah. I haven't done it
Know
myself,
what you're thinking.
but people have told me, I mean, in college, people are always getting very creative with their meal plans. But I've been told, I haven't tried it myself, that ChatGPT is actually pretty good at
Mhm.
giving you a decent recipe or meal plan that you can make from what you've got. So I would like to, that would be pretty cool. Say, hey, what do I have in my pantry and fridge right now that I can make a meal out of?
Maybe we could build a kit that has like an array of cameras for the inside of your pantry, the inside of your fridge, and it all centrally comes back and feeds from ChatGPT to find recipes. You don't even have to
then-
open the door and scan it. It just knows.
Then I can figure out who's been eating all my cookies.
Yep.
Yeah, it's and so at that point, say you have that, are you going to call that an IoT or a computer?
I'm not going to connect it to the internet. I don't want to connect it to the internet. Just download other recipes and have an offline AI.
Well, I guess. But here's the
That's
thing.
just
though,
me,
I
though.
mean, it's probably going to connect to your local network, though, right? Or in some form. And,
Yep.
maybe not. You can have its own console and everything. But
No, I mean, yeah, all things being equal, it's going to be on the internet. It's going to be on the Wi-Fi. It's going to be vulnerable. It's going to be all those things that we hate, at least from a security perspective.
Right. So, I mean, that's kind of the thing, though, is as soon as it becomes a device that talks to other devices in whatever form it be, kind of, it turns into the IoT world. And yeah, it's one that can be either very fun or kind of, concerning, depending on how it's being used.
Probably a bit of both.
Yeah, honestly.
It's
IoT
fun
I mean-
backdoors.
in a concerning kind of way.
What was that, Artie?
IoT being used as backdoors into your network. One of the
Mhm.
best practices you can do is have a separate network for anything that's on Internet of Things. And if you don't know how to set that up, give us a call. We'll help you. It basically protects the rest of your computer, your TV, whatever you've got connected that you don't want talking to everything else in your apartment, like your lights, your light switch, your blender, whatever it is. Yeah, there are vulnerabilities that exist in almost every IoT device that's out there. Some of them have been found, some of them have not, and some of them get patched, and some of them just, that's last year's technology. We're not going to patch it.
Hmm.
So, having it set up on a separate network protects yourself from.
There's a
moving laterally.
fantastic, easy way. Yeah, there's an easy way that. Have you seen the guest Wi-Fi in routers nowadays? Like you set up your own, and then you set up a guest. Just rename guest to IoT, or maybe not even do that. Just say my other network,
And give it a good
And then-
password.
and then it's just built in.
Mm-hmm. And there's several good reasons for doing that as well, because, excuse me,
Gesundheit.
Usually, I think most routers now automatically will do your main network will be your 5 gigahertz, and then if you have a guest one, it puts that as the 2.4, which is good for a couple of reasons if you're doing IoT, because 2.4 is usually has a little bit more range, it can penetrate through walls a little bit better, and so I mean it's kind of a win-win. You know, if you do it right, you get the boosted performance for everything, because then your 5 gigahertz network is also less busy, and your IoT devices have easier connectivity throughout your house or business or whatever you're doing.
Exactly. You know, one of the best ideas that I saw about IoT, Internet of Things, when it first came out, they were tossing out ideas. Why do I want a separate thing? Is that a computer? Like, why do I want this for? Think of an app on your phone that controls your oven. But in this guy's mental exploration, there's nobody that's made it since then. This was 15 years ago. It was an oven that also has a fridge built into it. So you make a casserole the night before, you put it in the oven, which is in fridge mode, so it stays cool. And then 3 o'clock in the afternoon, it heats up and starts cooking the casserole. Okay, so your phone is connected to it. Now I'm running late. I got to go pick up somebody over here. I got to run this extra errand I didn't know about. So you can hit a button and say keep warm. So then it goes from cook to warm and holds it. And so it's warm when you get home. Or worse yet, you can say, I'm not going to make it home tonight. And it goes back into fridge mode. And your cooked meal is now in the fridge.
Refrigerates it.
But
that would be a cool use.
I mean, something similar to that that's becoming very popular is smokers. Smokers having automated controls through the internet, because traditionally you kind of have to babysit it the entire day. I mean, if you're doing like a long smoke, you've got to be there to put your chips in, and you got to tend it and do all of that stuff.
Now that's the kind of smoking section I can get behind.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I've got a buddy, he's got a little smoker, and he made his own. He bought one that was not automated, and he's turning it into one. You know, he designed a whole little PCB and everything for it, so it's a lot of fun. Yeah, I mean, it's super useful because you don't have to be home the whole time. You can go off to work or run some errands, have fun. I don't know, live life, and not be beholden to a hunk of meat you got in the oven. So, I mean, in those situations, it's super useful, and a lot of people love it.
There's so many bad jokes in my mind about being beholden to a hunk of meat. Just are we talking brisket? Are we talking pulled pork? I mean, it depends on the hunk of meat.
Talking about a monarch?
Well, yeah, those. Oh gosh, that's a whole nother line of jokes I don't want to say on the air.
You're welcome.
Trying to keep it family friendly here. Thanks. Ruin the show.
That's what I'm here for.
You do such a good job at it. Thank you. You know, the other one that I would love to see is I wish the app existed to tell me when the dryer's done or the washer's done. Like, it's in the basement or it's in the other room, and I'm not near it. Like, let it run. I mean, how many of us have had those digital washers that the washing machine says it's got 5 minutes left, but it's not 5 minutes. It's like 10 or 12 because it's just doing something. Who knows?
It has 5 units of time left. You have to figure out what that unit is.
Yeah.
Each
if
unit
it could
is
just
different.
send a text alert.
And it's going to change with the cycle, because the next cycle is a different unit.
Mm-hmm.
How can I get an automated conveyor belt from the washer to the dryer? That's what I want.
You can just get an all-in-one. They have washer dryers that function together.
Mm-hmm.
Just set up
I want.
Yeah.
I want that heat pump one. Oh my goodness, who makes that? Is that LG?
There are a few companies that make the heat pump ones.
There's one that just came out that is like everybody wanted it the second they got their hands on it because it did what it's supposed to do. It washed and dried 10 pounds of clothes in 4.5 hours.
Devices aren't supposed to work like
That
that.
seems a long time.
That is
Yep.
something like a long time, though.
But if you put a comforter in the thing, it comes out dry. You don't have to hang it up after it's dry.
That's impressive. Now, here's the deal. What if you put something in there that you don't want to put in the dryer? Then you're kind of screwed. You're like, oh, well, that sucks. That's shrunk now.
What do you mean you're not supposed to put vinyl in the dryer?
Oh,
That just reminded me of that Seinfeld episode with the suede jacket.
what a great show.
So good. I think the best thing about them is they take, real world situations that we all experience and they just blow it so far out of proportion that it's so relatable, but at the same time it's so ridiculous.
Yep. Awkward silence. We got to fill the void with some noise of some kind. Artie, what's the word of the day? Come on.
Word of the day, Freund-Laden.
Of what now?
Been a while since I heard that one.
Can I get
I
it
love
used
that.
in a sentence?
I love that word.
Use Freund-Laden in a sentence.
Artie just used Freund-Laden as the word of the day. There you go.
What's the origin of the word?
I don't know the actual origin of the word. It was used in Animaniacs.
Mhm.
In the early episodes, there was, I believe, was it a mime? Who was a bad mime, and he would use. It was somebody that was doing a Jerry Lewis impersonation.
He was the director, and the
That's right.
production was taking too long, and the CEO sent the Warner Brothers and Dot down to the sound stage to figure out what's going on because all the accountants have been sent and they haven't returned. It's like we send them and they haven't come back. That's one of my favorite episodes.
We're gonna not do funny haha. We're gonna do funny uh-oh.
Uh-huh.
What's funny?
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
You'll have to watch the episode, Jackson, to find out what funny uh-oh really is.
Apparently. What was the show? Animaniacs, you said?
Animaniacs, yeah.
The original run. They had a revival
mid-90s.
recently.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Ah, okay, yeah.
Hey, I at
How
least
to
got
do
to
retro
see
without living up
with
to
the revival. They did a live tour, and I got to see Phil LaMarche and Rob Paulson on stage performing the characters, doing the songs. It was great.
Nice. That must have been fun.
I saw which one of those does Pinky?
Paulson.
Yeah, he was invited to do a reading of Star Wars in various character voices, and he did part of it in Pinky's voice, and it was hilarious.
My favorite
I think
is,
I remember that one, and what's her name? Tara Strong was also there.
Mm-hmm.
Darth Vader in the voice of Bubbles from the Powerpuff Girls.
I love the remake of the Revenge of the Sith, Anakin and Obi-Wan fight. That is was it Donald Duck and Mickey Mouse? Oh, it's so good.
Wait, how did we get on this topic from Internet of Things?
Because you
I
asked
don't
for the
know.
word of the day.
Yeah.
Oh, sure, it's my fault. We went on this rabbit hole.
So wait, so if we want to go back on topic, so we talked about how people might leverage these devices. We should keep them on an isolated network. What what else can I do? Like, what if, I mean, an isolated network, because I would suspect that most of these things, if not all of them, are probably Wi-Fi connected.
Mm-hmm. Because
Probably.
what
And
could go
that's,
wrong with Wi-Fi?
yeah. What else can I do? What if that's not enough?
You could get each one its own little Faraday cage.
Why is everything in metal boxes?
Uh,
They're so inornate. There's no design to it. It's just a cage of a mesh.
So I have to go off on that. A couple years ago, when there was the huge a lot of people freaking out about 5G, somebody was on selling Faraday cages as 5G blockers that you put around your Wi-Fi router, and they were selling
Yeah.
them, and people were wondering why their Wi-Fi died. It's like,
Oh my gosh.
yeah,
And it
people that
wasn't
don't know
anything
enough to know what
purpose-built.
they're scared of.
You've seen those wire mesh like desk accessories, like little paper sorters or trash cans, and it just looks like a screen, but it's wrapped around in the shape. They bought those and renamed them.
and marked up
They
the
didn't make
price, I
anything.
bet, right? Mm.
Yeah, like triple or quadruple the price because it's blocking 5G.
And technically, they weren't lying. A Faraday cage does block 5G.
The same 5G that your router itself makes
Precisely.
and everything else. That's what I was so confused about, and maybe I don't quite understand the whole deal. I mean, not, but I mean, everyone's around 5G anyway all the time. Like if you're near Wi-Fi, you're experiencing a 5G signal, and then they decided they want to put it on the airways, and they're like, "Oh no, you can't do that." So I don't know. I was always confused by the whole backlash.
Well, it's just a buzzword that some conspiracy theorists stumbled on some good ideas, like you put a glass of water in a microwave, it heats up. But when I'm talking to people, they ask me my thought on this back when that was a big buzz. I said, okay, so what's the resonant frequency? So the resonant frequency of your tooth is different than what's your eyeball. That's different than your heart. Everything has a different frequency. How do you dial in the frequency of the whole human? Okay, and my whole frequency is not going to be the same as yours, Jackson. And Mike's is going to be different. Artie's going to be different. So to dial in a single device that would cause harm or control minds or do any of those things for everybody, you're not going to get there.
I mean, the other thing too is like, I think people forget that radio and Wi-Fi signal, all these things, X-rays, it's all light. Like the sun
Mhm.
is producing all of these things, by the way. So might as well just not ever step outside.
Yeah, let alone what's coming from the other outer reaches of space.
Right. It's pretty cool. I mean, there have been research facilities that I mean, you can find these images. They post them in their research papers. It's pretty cool. They'll actually measure, gamma radiation and X-rays and ultraviolets, and then they'll paint a picture of it because you can actually see it. But it's pretty interesting to see at the night sky what exactly is making it through the atmosphere, and there's a
Mhm.
lot. So it's the unseen world is very present.
Well, and it's also magnitude, right? If you look at the sun, that thing's bright. Don't stare at the sun. That's a bad idea. Never mind. But if you look at the wattage of a Wi-Fi signal, it's equivalent to like a Christmas tree light at 30 paces. The radiation is just not there. It's not going to hurt you.
Hmm. What would be really concerning, though, and I had heard, I mean, there have been experiments done and research done on this, is, we have wireless chargers for our phones and for our headphones, lots of things. And it's not impossible to make a room that will just wirelessly charge your stuff. The only thing is that would cause some serious harm to a person.
You could, if you hit the right frequencies.
Yeah.
I'd wirelessly charge you.
So yeah, I mean, there's just you got to keep everything in its sphere of reality. I think if that even makes sense. But
Mike, we got to make an alarm clock with that built in.
What's that?
The charge you in the morning.
Oh,
I would love
Like-
that.
5:30 in the morning, you wake up filled with energy.
I would just there's those people that they it might be a little superstition. They sleep with grounding blankets. Have you seen that?
Hmm.
I've heard of stuff like that.
So you just sleep with a grounding blanket, and then your alarm just applies a small voltage to your finger, and you'll feel it.
Your bed tases you wake in the morning.
There are some days I would love that. So hard to get out of bed. Just be like, give me a little jolt.
Just pay your roommate to just punch you in the face lightly. Just punch you in the face. Maybe a slap, open hand slap.
I think you'd be worried about me suing.
Not if you told him and signed a waiver.
Alternately,
Waivers.
if they don't know what's coming, just that I know you're sleeping there peacefully, but I think that spider by your head really might be a problem for you. I don't know you, but that would wake me up.
Yeah, I don't do well with bugs.
Neither do IoT
I think
devices.
we had an alarm clock for one of my kids that actually has a big vibration unit, like it rumbles the bed to try to get you out. I don't know if it worked.
We set
Just
it
for
on
my
Krakatoa.
oldest. Yeah, like just literally shake him out of bed. I don't think it's the shaking that wakes him up. I think it's the falling off the edge onto the floor that probably does it. But yeah, there you go.
Didn't
Or-
Colin Furs build a bed like
The,
that?
the problem with that though is
Tesla's
that
earthquake machine.
my child didn't really wake up to, like, it probably did wake her up, but not enough that she'd get out of bed or turn the thing off. And yet my wife and I are on a completely different floor in the house, and we can hear that thing going. Like it's waking us up. And it's like we're the ones who get up, go downstairs, like, turn that off, like, get up and turn it off. Like, be responsible. Dang it.
So, Mike, you're a parent. I'm a parent.
Hmm.
There's a secret sound that babies make that we wake up before the barf hits the blanket, right?
Yeah.
Like we're awake, just like done. And I'm not going back to sleep for a while because I've got to keep this baby clean.
Shot of adrenaline. There you go. You're welcome.
Just put that in the alarm clock and program it in with,
Something
at
to
random
just
times.
trigger
Got a
an
little-
adrenaline response. That's all you need.
Yep. Might shorten your lifespan, but hey, you're up and awake.
Hmm.
I might just rig up a needle of adrenaline that just stabs into your foot. Give you a
If the stab doesn't wake you, the chemical cocktail will.
Yes, more wonderful things that we want all the hackers to break into and take control of in our
These-
I got stabbed 13
collection
times
of
last
Internet
night.
of Things. Yeah.
Oh, imagine just an alarm that has some strange thing like that, and it's on the IoT. It's got regular settings. So, volume, control, duration, whatever you're listening to. Yeah, it would really just kind of suck to wake up to 180 decibels of YMCA playing and no idea how to stop it because somebody got into your alarm.
Psychological hacking.
That too.
Good grief.
Do Baby Shark And
No.
grandma got ran over by a reindeer blade at the same
No.
time.
No. Never start an alarm clock company. You'll go out of business immediately. Someone will sue.
I
I'll
still
sue.
get PTSD from that standard one. That I just
I
don't like
had
the
a
sound anymore.
classic bell ringer for a little bit that I'd use to wake me up, and I it got to the point where even because we had at our school had classic bell ring, rung bells. It got to the point where I didn't like hearing those, even when it was like school's out. Like, no, that gives me just a little bit of PTSD there, and so I got rid of that alarm clock after a while and got something a little different.
I had to change the sound on my phone because I have, my timer and I have an alarm clock. And the sound was the same, so I would be, cooking dinner or whatever, set a timer. 20 minutes later, it's a jolt of like PS or PTSD as the sound was the same. So I had to change that. It was ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. Well, speaking of schools and Internet of Things, did you see that school where a high school kid hacked the whole building's worth of projectors and rickrolled
No.
everybody?
Oh, Rick rolled everybody. Nice.
What a
Yep.
legend. Was that recent?
Oh, this was probably 4 or 5 years ago. He actually did a talk at one of the hacker conventions about it.
Yeah.
So he discovered a vulnerability, and instead of I don't know if he did the proper thing of disclosing it or not. I think he did, but he figured out how to start all the projectors at the exact same time, play the same media clip on all the projectors at the same time, get the PA system to play the music in the halls and everywhere else at the same time, and then lock out the manual controls to turn the projector off in all the classrooms.
Oh dear.
I mean,
Max the volume and then let it go.
props to that guy. Honestly, he deserves for something so harmless as that is just, you've got to. And then you got to say, okay, by the way, you should probably fix this.
Oh, and he
But I
did.
mean-
In the district, they actually wanted to really to talk to him, but he so in the true hacker way, not the bad guys, but the ethical hacker, he did the right time, so it didn't interfere with any assemblies, it didn't interfere with class time, it didn't interfere with after school activities, it didn't interfere with buses. It was a neutral time for that school, so it was safe, innocuous, and hilarious.
There you go. That's the way to do it. It's like
He did it through the Internet of Things.
Through the Internet of Things.
And it
It's like
wasn't
the-
just his entire school, it was the entire school district.
Was it the district?
Really?
3 years ago.
Oh, you got the
Wow.
article. That's awesome.
And the video
Wow.
of somebody
How-
recording it.
That just seems so unnecessary. So if you have, okay, I got to think about that. That's crazy. If you can access several physical locations from a district level, I mean, to me, that just seems like that's bad networking. That's just asking to be
Oh.
Well,
exploited.
it's getting in
may
there
or may
and
not-
working laterally. Because all it takes is one compromised device, usually to get you access.
It was all IP. He just sat on his computer and pinged it all and scanned and found vulnerabilities. But Jackson, all the schools are connected. So I may
To
or
that
may
level?
not. This might be anecdotal. This might be real. I'll leave it to your imagination. Imagine, if you will, me and a friend of mine, when our district first got connected and we could see other schools, we found printers. And I sat there and I tapped the 1, and my friend tapped the 0. This may or may not be true. He tapped the 0. So we had this page of binary. And we printed out and said, find a computer tech who knows how to program and put this in the printer. And we printed it to every printer that we could get our hands on.
Oh man.
It was harmless. Didn't interfere with anything, and just let the tech department know that if they were getting the reports that everybody can see every printer and they need to do something to fix it.
Yeah, that's something. It's like you have to do a certain level of isolation there. Like, I don't see why a district would need to control every single projector in every single room. I mean, if there's a need for some connectivity, sure, give that. But I mean, you have to. I feel like a lot of people work at it backwards. They'll start with all the connectivity and then they try and close it down to what they need. But it's much better to start with no connectivity and you just connect the things that you need.
Well, there's telemetry you can get from projectors. Just walk down that path. So one of the cool things with this Internet of Things or the connected technology is I can see what the projector runtime is. What's the anticipated life of the bulb? Does the filter need cleaned?
That's true.
That
Are
goes
there
along with your
teachers leaving it
printers,
on all
too.
day? Yeah.
Printer toner levels, paper levels, drum life left, etc., etc.
We don't really need the toner levels. You just always know that cyan is low.
Just yeah.
Just if you want, if you're like, how much toner does a printer have? I don't know. Not enough cyan. That's all you need to know.
We replaced it yesterday.
Still
Doesn't
not
matter.
enough.
Oh, don't even get me started on. I think. Oh, don't even get me started on printers. Printers piss me off. It's ridiculous.
There's one that I saw. I actually saw this at a school I was at. They named the printer Bob Marley because it always be jamming.
We just bought a new printer for home because it was cheaper than buying the replacement cartridges for the HP printer that we've had for the last 10 years.
Oh, don't get me started on HP
And
cartridges.
besides the
no.
fact it was my chance to have an exit away from an HP printer. So that's why we did it. But yeah,
There
it
you
was
go.
ridiculous. Like, it was on sale at Sam's Club, and we looked at the price of ink cartridges that we needed for our HP, and we're like, this is a no-brainer. Like, buy the printer with all the newer features. And
They caught on to that, and then they started shipping printers with just enough ink to get you a test page.
yeah, but see, that's the thing, is we bought the printer and we also did our shopping to look at the price of replacement cartridges. So we had actually a couple different printers we were looking at,
Mm-hmm.
and we looked at the replacement cartridges, like, what is it going to cost me when I have to replace the ink? And so we went with one that the cost of the ink cartridges was reasonable, or more reasonable than what the competition was that we were looking at. And so we bought the printer on sale, and I want to say there almost was a coupon for like an included package of new ink too. So we got ink with the printer, and we still paid, if not less, we paid as much as we would have paid for just the ink on the HP printer.
Oh man, that's like, oh, this goes into so many different issues. Like, I think this even goes back to like right to repair. You know, it's that same idea, because what they've, oh my gosh, I'm being filled with so much anger as I think about the things that these companies that make printers are doing. So
Yeah, we just figured out what to put in your alarm clock.
Printer ink?
Printer.
Random factoids about printers.
Low on cyan.
Not just factoids, truths about printers that you didn't want to know.
You're trying to print a black and white document, but you don't have enough yellow to do it.
Well, oh man, I don't even know where to start. But I mean, you've all seen that graphic though, where it's like the price of different liquids, and you know, there's like water, oil, blood is pretty high up there, and then you've got printer ink, and it is just through the roof more expensive than anything else for no reason. But then you get to the thing where, you know, people started buying Well, there were companies that saw a market of, hey, we can just sell cheaper printer ink and make a lot of money. And then companies like HP were like, "Ah, you can't do that anymore because we're going to put a little bit of a little smart chip inside of the printer cartridge that makes sure it's an HP cartridge. You know, nothing about
That's
the
it.
ink."
That's it. Let's patent cyan.
One of my art teachers, that was her side business, was refilling ink cartridges. I mean, this was years and years ago, but yeah, she had a little side business where one of the services she provided was refilling spent ink cartridges.
You could make
I
so
remember
much
right.
money back in the day on that.
Yeah, and I mean those aftermarket. Like I tried some of them at my last job, and well, only because that we had this financial controller that was just, budget, gotta stay in the budget. Like, well, it's $102 for new ink cartridges. No, that's too much. You gotta find the cheap stuff. Like, but I don't want like cheap stuff. Like, okay, we put the cheap stuff in. Why is the printer all messed up? Why is it streaky? Why is it like you bought the cheap stuff?
No, because you spent too much on the ink. That's the reply.
Yeah.
You tell the controller we spent too much on the ink. We got to get cheaper stuff.
Should have told her to buy a new printer every time. That's why I
I
should
actually knew somebody whose boss did that. Every time the printer ran out of ink, they bought a new printer. Because printer's not working. There's something wrong with it. I got a free printer because of that.
The printers that we had, though, they never worked the same again after those aftermarket third-party
Was it an inkjet or a laser printer?
Actually, one of each. One was a laser printer, one was an inkjet, and both times we had put these third-party, off-brand, compatible with, and it worked. Like, it recognized it, that it was there and it was full, and it printed a couple good pages, and then all of a sudden just things start, like the toner started leaking out of the cartridge on the laser printer, and so it started getting everywhere, and the pages were all dirty, and the inkjet it started having all kinds of problems and everything.
So, to anybody that's listening that's an engineer, please make a good printer. You will make millions.
Yeah.
For anybody else that's listening that's not an engineer, please share with us some of your printer horror stories in the comments.
Right. No. Oh, gosh, no.
Please.
We'll give Jackson PTSD.
I would love to.
You might send me to the hospital.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind. Put your comments.
Pop a vein.
We're also at the bottom of the hour.
Oh. Well, I appreciate you keeping an eye on the clock. I lost track of that. That's So are we down to like just the last couple seconds here, or we got time to wrap this up?
Let's wrap up.
All right. Well, I think Internet of Things is a glorious topic. I think it's more of a black hole than it is a known science right now. But Mike, we'll give you the final thought on this. Just, is Internet of Things a good thing or a bad thing, or we don't know what it is yet?
Ultimately, I actually love the Internet of Things. There's so many, as a hobbyist, there's so many neat things to play with out there in the Internet of Things, with those little microcontrollers and interconnecting them and making them do different things. And I've got a couple little hobby projects that I work on that would be classified as Internet of Things. But with everything, please be careful. Isolate the network that they're on. Make sure firmwares are updated, especially if there's security updates that come out. Pay attention to those things and update as much and as often as you possibly can, and just keep yourself safe, and good passwords and just general good security hygiene, with your credentials and all that stuff.
Sage advice, Mike. Well, I think that's going to do it for us this week. Tune in next time as we answer even more of your comments below, or watch Jackson fall into an absolute PTSD spaz fest on the most wild printer story that comes up in the comments. We'll read them live if there are any. Until then,
It's
I'm
a good thing
John.
we're not-
I'm Mike.
I'm Jackson, and it's a good thing we're not super famous. Otherwise, I might get printer fan mail, and then I might actually go to the hospital from anger.
I'm not sorry for making that suggestion.
Until next time, take care.